Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. In today's episode, Through the Fire. I recently lost my apartment due to a fire, and the apartment above mine is completely gone, and mine has extensive water damage. So we'll definitely be out of an apartment for a while, and I just moved there literally a month ago. And I remember when my friend Cameron interviewed me on the news, he said, for those who may be wondering why this woman is so happy after or in the midst of this fire, this is just who she is. And it was amazing to hear. One, I never paid attention to the things people notice about me. And two, it was such an uplifting comment to make. And I thank Cameron very much for that. But this fire, it happened on Friday. And the day it happened, I had a bird's eye view from different point of views on how others were experiencing this fire. First was me, noticing the sparks coming from the balcony above mine. They had a candle that was melting on my son's bike and on the table that I had out there. So I'm kind of yelling up to them to get your candle. It's melting on my stuff, and no one was answering. So then huge sparks started to hit my screen window, and it started to catch fire. And I screamed to my daughter to run upstairs to see if they're home. And while I grab a bowl of water, I put the fire out on the balcony. But as I look back up, I heard a loud whoosh of fire, and I saw how quickly the upstairs was engulfed in flames. I screamed for my daughter to come back downstairs. It's a real fire. Pack your stuff and get out. And I called 911. And it was sad because I was on hold for 7 minutes before anyone even answered the phone, which that alone is just scary enough. But bless my daughter's heart. All she packed was a few clothes, but her retainer and her perfume were her main items that she wanted to grab. And it's so funny because, that's the minds of children. It's the cutest thing ever. But she said, what? This perfume was expensive. But then my son's bus, it pulls directly in front of the fire because the fire truck started pulling in. And as the driver came around the corner, I could see the shock in her face. And now all the poor students on board the bus, I don't know if they're traumatized by what it is they're looking at by this fire, but my son is on this bus that just stopped directly in front of his house. So now I'm just like mommy mode kicks in, and my son is calling. He's scared out of his mind, and the bus driver can't open the doors to let these kids off because all the kids are on the bus. I'm sure they're freaking out as well. So officers are directing the bus to pull out of the neighborhood. My son's still freaking out. Everyone is screaming. My daughter, then she steps outside and she sees the fire from the outside. So now she starts freaking out. She calls her father. He can't make out what she's saying. So he is screaming, just put your mother on the phone, put your mother on the phone. And then I have my upstairs neighbor screaming about his cat is still inside. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And he was also screaming about how cold he was. And where is his cat? And can I use your phone? And other people are starting to scream and hollering. And I'm trying to calm my daughter down. I'm trying to talk to her father on the phone. And I'm also talking to my son on my phone, trying to calm him down. So it's a lot going on. And I call my brother, I call my mother, I call my father, and I make them all aware. And there's just so much screaming and hollering that I can't even think straight. I can't even hear myself think. Then I tell my daughter, just get in the car. I lock all the doors and I just sit there and I just think for a minute. And I had to calm down and allow the chaos to just kind of dissipate for a minute and just allow God to just speak to me. And I'm on the phone still trying to calm my son down the best way that I can. And then my ex-husband, he arrives on the scene, and he must have been breaking the sound barrier because he got there and it seemed like maybe not even 5 minutes after we hung up. But I couldn't even begin to imagine where his mind was hearing the fear in his son and his daughter's voice and not know anything as to what's going on due to all the screaming. All he knew was that there was a fire. So I know he could barely hear. And then once he made it to the scene, then he ran to my daughter and embraced her with tears rolling down his face. And of course, that made me start crying now because seeing that fear in his face for his kids definitely pulled at my heartstrings. So now I'm telling him, please just go find our son. Just go find our son. Go grab him off the bus before he has a panic attack. And my mom was on the phone asking, should I come? Should I know? I'm like, I honestly don't know. I know nothing. But once she made it, it took like a higher power of mom. And then it just her being there, I was able to calm down even more and actually hear myself think. But finally, my son arrived with his dad. And once he saw me, he immediately calmed down. You know, my ex husband said that he was having a full blown panic attack on that bus once he made it to the bus. And the bus driver was trying to calm him down. The bus driver ended up calling him from my son's phone saying, hey, can you come grab him off the bus because I cannot calm him down. But eventually he finally calmed down. And then, of course, then the waterworks came again because once he saw me, he embraced me with like the tightest hug. And he was just so scared. And it was hard to see that, to see that fear in your child's face. It's try not to tear up again. It's hard to see that. But, it's also trying to calm your children down, and you're that strength. You're the strength that they need. And my son, he just needed his mother. And the strength that God puts in me is the strength and light that makes my children feel safe. And when they see that, they automatically feel better. They can be at ease.